Hi, I'm Eric Johnson at Vanderbilt Owen's Graduate School of Management, and I'm here today with Martin Craighead. Martin is the CEO and chairman of Baker Hughes. It's really great to have you here today, Martin.
Thanks, Dean.
So 29-year history at Baker Hughes. You've had a lot of bosses over those years. Yes. Can you tell us about a boss that had a particular influence on you?
You know, I can, Eric, and it'll be probably a pretty simple influence, frankly. I remember working for a boss when I first transferred from Houston to Canada, who just set a great example of a work ethic. I mean, would be in the office before anybody else, would leave later than anybody else, of his entire team. And I think it just set a standard by which, if you want to move ahead, if you want to be recognized, if you want to set the right example, then there's nothing more important in some ways than just good old-fashioned work ethic.
Well, one of our tenets in leadership here at Owen is that you really learn from your experiences. It's something we spend a lot of time with the students in our leadership development program, coaching them and helping them to really learn from their experiences, become more self-aware and so forth. And I was wondering if you could share with us one pivotal moment in your career that really greatly influenced you as a leader.
That would be, that's a great question. That for me would be a time when I transferred from Canada down to a small operation in Venezuela, and the infrastructure, both people in terms of everything, was very lacking. And I had very little support, very little contact with, so to speak, our head office in Houston or even the regional office there in Caracas. I was on my own. And I learned to answer your question, I just learned to, because there was no one there really around me much, but I had over 100 employees, I learned to trust my instincts. And I couldn't call home like E.T. did for a lot of help. And the success came beyond my expectations. And I think what that helped do was give me the self-confidence from that point on as my career evolved to trust my instincts and be able to take on jobs that maybe others would have felt like maybe you can't do or can do or whatever. But it gave me a lot of self-confidence. That was the best experience.
Yeah, truly a crucible of learning by doing.
It was, yes.
Throw you into the deep end and see if you can swim.
Right.
Well, certainly when you think about feedback throughout your career, I'm sure you've had feedback throughout your career, but can you think of some feedback that came early in your career that influenced you, something that really stuck with you?
For perhaps some of the students that will watch this, and I've used this with a lot of our young emerging leaders in our company or wherever I go. And when I first heard it, Dean, I found it a bit offensive, frankly, but I've come to learn that it's the right advice. I was having a discussion with one of our vice presidents at the time, who was a couple levels up, and I was asking him some questions that were aimed at my future. And he said to me, "Your career is your responsibility." And he did it in a way that made it sound as though he didn't care. And I don't think that was necessarily accurate, but nevertheless, he was saying that your career is your responsibility. So in terms of accepting new responsibilities, in terms of taking jobs laterally, vertically down to move over to the right, to however it works, going back for further education, whatever, it's your responsibility. It's not HR's, it's not some administrators.
You need to own it.
You need to own it, exactly. And I find today that a lot of people need to be reminded of that, and that really helped me.
Well, today you're in a position where you really see a lot of leadership challenges throughout your organization, a lot of changes, trends that are going on. What do you see as some of the bigger trends facing leaders today that really influence where we're going in the future here?
Well, let me answer that two ways. One, I would say for the leaders today and probably going forward, be prepared to be on the front page, be prepared to be on a short video clip when you're not expecting it. And I think it's, we're just living in a world, and I see no reason why it would change, that anything you say, do, wherever you appear, however you behave, is going to be captured. And that can be a bit challenging at times. And I think that that's not only for CEOs, that's for any leader in an organization, because they carry their organization's brand with them. And so that just living real time and being accessible by the world in terms of what you're doing is something you have to sign up for if you're looking to take a leadership or senior position in an organization.
Well,
Okay?
Martin, thanks so much for being with us at Owen today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.